I would like to talk briefly about a couple of neat little outdoor cooking items that were on page 4 in your manual in the fuel section. And I had skipped that at the time because I needed to move things around just a little bit so you can see it. This is a solar cooker, and I made it. It was a little bit difficult to make because you need 2 boxes that are just about the same shape, but one box on the outside and then another box that fits in because you've got to put some insulation in between those 2 boxes. And then you have to make a lid that fits perfectly right on top. And I cut this apart and taped it until it fit. And then I put an oven bag on there, taped that on. And then you either have to, this is a thermometer, and then you either have to paint the bottom of it black. I found one of these in my basement. It was an old sled, winter sled, that I cut up, just one of those little roll-up things, and it was perfect. But you have to have something black on the bottom of your solar cooker so that it absorbs the heat. So this is what it looks like, and this is what I was talking about, how you have one box on the outside and then another one, and then a little piece here on top that needed to be glued on, and it's lined with aluminum foil. So it costs practically nothing to make, that's for sure, but it took some time. The other thing that I want to show you is called an apple box oven, and it is made out of an apple box, or you can also use the boxes that hold cases of printer paper or computer paper. And now this one I actually made out of 2 boxes that hold the 6 cans that I was talking about, the 6 number 10 cans, and I pieced them together and cut the lid off and glued a bunch of aluminum foil on there. And you need, to make these, you do need 2 sizes of aluminum foil. You need the big one, and it has to be the heavy duty, and then the smaller one. So the larger aluminum foil is to line your box going this way, and then the smaller aluminum foil is to line your box on the sides and on the inside. And then your little window, you don't necessarily have to have a window, but they're nice. And then they have to have venting on the side. So this did take some time to make. You also need some aluminum tape because you have to completely tape all of the inside edges so that none of the box is exposed to any of the heat, because your box will catch on fire. And then the way you set it up is you put a heavy piece of aluminum foil down on the ground, put some coals in there, and then you take some soda cans and take the top off, fill it with some rocks so it'll give it some weight. I covered up the holes with some aluminum tape, not duct tape, it's aluminum tape. Just gives it a little bit of weight, but you know, it's really not that necessary. And then this is just a cooling rack. You light your coals, and you take any kind of a cake pan or cookie sheet, baking dish, and you just put it right on top of there. And you want to wait until your coals are not shooting a flame really, really high, because you can use your aluminum pie pans and cookie sheets in this kind of a cooking situation, as long as the coals have become an ember and they're not shooting flames. And then once that happens and you put your cake mix on there or your cookies, you just put this down on top, and you will have about 350 degrees for about 40 minutes. And this is a really nice method of cooking. And those are the two outdoor cooking things that I wanted to show you that don't cost any money, just some time. Hey, this is my solar panel kit from Harbor Freight that I bought for $150. And it's a 45 watt, and it gives you a little bit of power. But the one weakness about the solar panel kit is that it has a metal frame that is rather weak. And so I made a little wooden frame so that it was a little bit more sturdy, and if I needed to, I could scoot it around and the panels wouldn't fall off. And then I took the cords and just ran them in the house, right in between the doorway. And then we'll go inside and we'll see the rest of the setup. Okay, I have a setup here of 4 deep cell batteries. I have not linked them up together yet, but I will be with some wire. And deep cell batteries can be quite expensive. They can be $300 or $350 a piece. I was extremely lucky because I got these for $85 a piece. What's nice about the kit from Harbor Freight is that they come with what's called a charge controller, so you don't have to buy it separately. And that just controls how much charge your battery is getting, so your batteries don't overcharge. And then I've got the charge controller hooked up, and then I bought what's called an inverter separately. And I got a fairly inexpensive inverter. It's only a 750 watt. So it will, you need this because the charge controller only has DC output. And the inverter has a way for you to plug in your AC things. And this gets hooked up to the battery, and the charge controller is hooked up to that one. And as you can see, it works quite well. And if you watch the controller, right now it's at 12.8 volts, volts. And then watch, it'll only drop down to 7 as I... So it doesn't use up very much electricity at all. And as I was saying earlier, is if I wanted to make something in the blender, I would first blend it up in my hand crank blender, and then I would use this if I wanted to get things really smooth. Because I don't want to use my solar panels very much and take out some of that electricity. The one disadvantage of this kit from Harbor Freight is that you absolutely do have to have a battery for this to work. It is not the kind of kit that you can just use during the day, plug things in. It has to be hooked up to a battery. So this whole system, if you were to get the panel and a battery, if you got the battery at retail at $350, you're looking at about $500 or more just to have a very simple solar hookup. So it is rather expensive. So you definitely need to think about what your needs are, and if you think that this is something that you absolutely have to have, consider the cost. And that's our segment on my little solar panel hookup.